Hello, good evening, and hello. I'm Tom Miller, and this is HRTV News. This week's top stories. The dong is back.
Dong!
Love them or hate them, the government are making the tough decisions for this country. We talked to MP for Burton, Kate Griffiths, about what's going on at the top.
Dong!
We speak to 2 Year 6s on their first day back at school.
Dong!
We round up this week's Holy Rosary TV viewing.
Dong!
And finally, we take a look at what you have been up to outside of school.
Dong!
Hello, good evening, and hello. Our top story this week, the government. Evil overlords looking down from above, or a group of highly skilled individuals looking out with our best intentions at heart. Whatever you think, they're the ones making the tough decisions. We had the honour of catching up with Kate Griffiths, MP for Burton-on-Trent. We started by asking her how the virus is being handled on a government level, how decisions are made, and what it's like being working for the government during this strange and intense time.
Hello, I'm Kate Griffiths. I'm the Member of Parliament for Burton and Uttoxeter, and it's really great to be here talking to you today. To give you a little bit of a feel for how the government have been handling things during the coronavirus crisis, it's important to just understand a little bit about how government works. We've obviously got the Prime Minister, Boris Johnson, and he works really closely with a group of colleagues who collectively make up what is known as the Cabinet, and they're the ones that take the really tough decisions. So they, in order to do this, they consult with other members of Parliament like myself, and we represent areas right across the whole of the UK. We give them our views, and that enables them to formulate their decisions. They've also, during the coronavirus outbreak, they've been consulting with the top scientific and healthcare advisors, and they've been providing them with all the information and the facts they need to make some of these really hard decisions. To give you a little example of how things have worked here in Burton and Uttoxeter, I've been contacted by quite a few dairy farmers, and they've been struggling because of the coronavirus virus crisis, because the demand for milk has decreased, and that's because restaurants haven't been open, so the demand for milk hasn't been there. So in order to address their issues and see how we can help them, I've spoken to the Farming Minister. I've expressed the concerns of the farmers here in Burton and Uttoxeter. She has then had a talk to the Prime Minister, expressed these concerns, and they also affect farmers right across the UK. It's not just here in Burton and Uttoxeter. And then, having spoken to the Prime Minister, the Chancellor has then, who's the person that looks after the money, has then been able to help her put in place a package that can support farmers here in Burton and Uttoxeter and across the UK to help them get through this difficult period until the demand for milk increases again. So, what's it like being a Member of Parliament during these really strange times that we find ourselves in? Well, I was newly elected in December 2019. I had been working down in London for about 3 months in Westminster. I was getting used to finding my way around this incredible building, which is huge and very easy to get lost in. This wonderful building that's also known as the Palace of Westminster. I'd got my office up and running, my team of staff in place, and all of a sudden we found that we'd all got to work from home. So we've had to use technology that I'm sure lots of you are familiar with. We've used WhatsApp to keep in touch, we've used Zoom for meetings, and obviously we've used email. But Parliament had to adapt really, really quickly so that members of Parliament who were working from home were still able to participate in proceedings. So the digital services down in Parliament put in place a system called the hybrid system. A few MPs were still physically there in London, in Parliament, but the majority of us were working from home, and this enabled us to participate via a video link. I was lucky enough to be able to participate in Prime Minister's Questions, which happens once a week on a Wednesday. And I can tell you it was a very, very strange feeling talking to the Prime Minister, who was down in the House of Commons, whilst I was up in Burton working at home.
We then went on to ask her about how she feels things have gone locally and what impact the virus may have for the future of Burton.
I think the coronavirus health crisis here in Burton and Uttoxeter has been handled extremely well. I think it's great to have seen so many community groups formed that have been able to help those vulnerable people in our communities who haven't been able to leave home for health reasons. They've been able to go out and get groceries for them, collect prescriptions, and in some cases it's just a really simple act like making a phone call to them just to make sure that they feel just a little bit less isolated and lonely. I think the dedication of our key workers, the NHS workers, teachers, shop workers, delivery drivers, just to name a few, who've carried on working throughout this crisis. They've been out there putting themselves at risk so that we continue to be able to access those essential services and goods that we need. I think that has been wonderful, the dedication that they've shown. The way the supermarkets have adapted, how they've put in place measures that mean customers can practice social distancing when they go to do their shop. And also how the councils and charities have worked together to make sure that all the homeless people have somewhere safe to stay to protect them from the virus as well. I think there's been an amazing community spirit that's shone through here in Burton, and I would like to think that for our town and community going forward, as life starts to go back to normal and we eventually come out of this crisis, I think it would be a fantastic thing if that wonderful community spirit continued then.
We finished by asking her how she thought the schools of Burton-on-Trent had handled the COVID-19 situation, and if she had a message for the pupils, parents and staff of Holy Rosary.
Schools have done an amazing job supporting children to continue learning from home, as have parents who have suddenly found themselves homeschooling unexpectedly. And of course, schools have stayed open throughout the pandemic for children of key workers, which has enabled those key workers to go out there and provide the vital services that our community needs. But finally, I'd like to say a really, really big thank you to all the pupils, parents, teachers and staff at Holy Rosary for playing your part in making sure that family and friends stay safe. So keep following government guidelines, keep washing those hands, keep staying alert, and I look forward to coming to visit you as soon as I possibly can and to hearing all about your school parliament.
Kate, thanks for taking the time to speak to us today. We really appreciate it. Year 6, they're a strange breed, caught between childhood and those awkward teenage years. We missed them while they weren't here, but now they're back, and they're better than ever. Due to social distancing measures and maintaining the integrity of our bubbles, we caught up with Archie from Year 6 over Zoom. Hi Archie, thanks for joining us today on HRTV News.
No problem.
So it's your first day back today. How are you feeling?
I'm feeling well and ready to what's going to come in the future.
Oh, that's good to hear. So tell us a little bit about what you've been up to this morning on your first day back.
So we've done the listening hour and then logged into the class dojo and did the maths.
So you've been working through the Oak Academy maths.
Yeah.
That's good. Great to hear that you've been doing a little bit of something. Archie, what have you missed the most about not being at school?
About not being at school, probably friends and all of the teachers.
Again, nice to hear. And now that you are back, Archie, what are you looking forward to the most?
Probably every Thursday, Friday that I'm going to come back.
Right, so you're looking forward to actually being back at school.
Yeah.
That's great to hear, Archie. We're really glad to have you back, and we're really glad to have the rest of the Year Sixes back. Archie, it's been great talking to you. Thank you very much.
No problem.
Is it? Go to commercial. Television. 3 channels and that new kid on the block, Channel 4. Still not a great choice, so us youngsters, who are down and funky, watch all of our favourite TV shows on the YouTube. Here's what's happened this week on Holy Rosary TV. The listening hour is still focusing on transition. If you missed it, go back and check it out. Miss Sanderson read us one of my favourite stories, The Snail and the Whale. During Around the World Wednesday, Madam Shipley read us a story in French. Every Friday, Mr. Brogan talks us through this week's important updates. Make sure you know all of the information that you might need. And don't forget, every Thursday, it's the lunchtime liturgy. Before our final story, let's head over to Father Neil for the weather.
Seriously, not appropriate. Get out.
I'm so sorry, Father. And finally, reading. I can read. In fact, I'm reading right now. But that's not what's in doubt here. The question is, can you read? Let's take a look at what some smarty pants children have been reading while they've been in lockdown. In part 1 of our regular feature, let's take a look at what some smarty pants children have been reading while they've been in lockdown.
Hi, my name's Toby, and we are reading Slam by David Williams. I like it because it's funny and that the brother and sister are playing tricks on each other.
I'm reading I'm Not Sleepy by James Chapman. I like about this book because there are funny sounds of this little owlet and this owl. And the little owls in this picture is called Mo. And at the back, you see Grandma here. And the funny sounds they make is so funny, I nearly laughed. The second thing I like about this book is that because one time Mo said, Grandma, it's an emergency. So Grandma was so panicking. She was so panicking she could barely talk. But it wasn't an emergency at all. Not one single. He wasn't sleepy. He wanted to play. The last thing I like about this book is because there's a fact about it. That owls go to bed at sunrise. I didn't even know that, really, because some owls go to bed at nightfall and some owls go to sleep at sunrise.
Diary from Frank by Anne Frank. And it's really good because it tells the story of her life in an annex hiding from the Nazis. She stayed there from the year 1942 to the year 1944, and then she was captured and she died in a concentration camp around a year later. So yeah.
So my name's Jack Ferner and I'm in my room. And I've read all of these books. They're called the Treehouse books. They go up 13 stories every time. So they're really cool. The first one's 13 story Treehouse. 26, 39, 52, 65, 78, 91, 104, 117. Got a friend called Jill who lives over the forest and kills their friend, and she's basically a vet. And the publisher is called Mr. Big Nose in the books, and he's got a big nose, and when he gets really angry his nose explodes, so it's quite funny. And the main bit of the story is them having an adventure to get the book done, and then they write about the adventure.
Oh, there you are, guys. Hello. It's Ollie and Woody here. You might recognise me from around Holy Rosary. So today I'm going to be book reviewing this book. It's called Die of a Wimpy Kid, The Third Wheel. As you can tell, I think a third wheel is kind of very sad, so it's a bit sad. So this is Greg Heffley on the front here. He's the main character. So in this, he's trying to find, I like this book because he's trying to find a date for the Valentine's dance with his friend Rowley. And his friend Rowley kind of acts as a wingman, which is not very good because he just basically doesn't make him look good by tripping over and stuff. So I do recommend this book because it's very funny and it can make you laugh. So if you look for something funny and something that's got, well, it literally says hilarious from the Sunday Telegraph, so that's proof it's just hilarious. So yeah, if you want to read this book, then feel free. If you don't, don't. Right. Bye, guys.
That's all we've got time for today. Thanks for watching. And remember, loving heart, strong mind, stay alert. And I said, if I have to do another Zoom call, no, I'm not going to do it. No, I don't care what you say. No, absolutely not. No. Yeah, well, I've said, yes, well, I'll be speaking to my agent.